Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 73rd edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by my fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator, Jade.
Is there an echo in here?
With that,
But I did use the different of the two nicknames, so
Did you? I saw you used Hans Zimmer on the other one, didn't you?
I used Disney in the other
Oh,
one.
did you? I didn't even take it. I didn't
Yeah.
even notice anymore.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Just a blank space, and they're just
that's fair enough. Yeah, and the Peacemaker, aka Jesus Christ, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hello. Wait, what's something John Cena would say? I'm trying to think there.
Like the real John Cena, not the Peacemaker or whatever?
Well, either, I guess.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
what would they say?
Vinny needs to set you up for it, but are you sure about that? Would be funny.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Are you sure about that?
Mm.
Yeah, that's good. I'll keep that in the bank.
Yeah, just wait for Zach to say something like controversial during the episode, and then you just pop in with that one.
Yeah. I have it at the ready. Yeah.
And then it can just become a recurring soundbite that I just use all the time. Just insert it everywhere in the edit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is War for the Planet of the Apes, which opened in the US on the 14th of July 2017. It was directed by Matt Reeves. The genre is an action drama. And the synopsis reads, after the apes suffer unimaginable losses, Caesar wrestles with his darker instincts and begins his own mythic quest to avenge his kind. Now, Fitzy, did you see this film in theaters?
I think I did, yeah. I don't think I remember much about it, but actually seeing it the first time, but it's pretty good. It's nowhere near as good as Dawn for me, but it's pretty good. It looks pretty amazing. Yeah, some cool moments and stuff. So I don't know. We'll get into it. Yeah, that's
We sure will. We sure will. I should mention, of course, this is our conclusion to our Planet of the Apes franchise. Go and check out all the other reviews. Cheap plug. Jaden, what about you?
I absolutely love it. This is it used to be my favorite in the series, but I think after this rewatch, I think Dawn and War are kind of hit for hit on par, but they kind of excel in different areas. I really appreciate the direction that War took with its trying to more character driven and stuff like that. And I really think it's spectacular, like truly spectacular.
I think I'm more with Fitzy. I think it's my least favorite of the three. There's so much I like. There really is, that it's sort of makes it harder for me to say I didn't quite think it was great. And I think it mainly comes down to, little things with the plot and story moments just not landing exactly how I think I would have liked or they would have liked, Because for the most part, and it sort of sucks because for the most part, I think the movie's still solid. I definitely, don't think it's like a disservice to this trilogy overall, but, the execution here is top tier cinema. Presentation is killer. Obviously, thematically, it's awesome as well, just like the previous films. And yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll get into it all, but how can I not start with the intro of this movie, straight up addressing our argument about what the titles mean for each of the trilogy?
Dude, I completely forgot about that, and when I read it, I was like, "Fuck yes."
Yeah,
that was sensational. It's like, oh, they're doing this. They're straight up like, hey, we know. They're definitely not thinking this at all, but it's like it felt like, oh, we're addressing you directly. You thought Dawn, Rise, whatever. But that I thought that was hilarious. But outside of that, though, it was amazing. The actually having that text there come up and oh my god, and it like fade to red on each of the like core titles of each in the films, and it's something really unique. I've never seen a franchise like do a recap like that in text form that feels impactful, and we've got like the jungle in the background and the soldiers moving around and shit. It's all intense, and I thought that shit was awesome. And then the way it fades into just War for the Planet of the Apes, that shit, oh my god, that's like top 5 movie intro blurb screens I've ever seen, which is like an art form in itself. But I thought that was awesome. And then of course, oh dude, I mean the whole opening scene was awesome. I think it was Fitzy warned me that, or I don't know, one of you guys said that this feels like a war film. This opening scene was 100% like I was watching a war movie. Matt Reeves was coming in doing that, and it was so awesome. It was really intense. Obviously, the whole movie's gorgeous, but all the soldiers moving around and the crouching around and the world building that we get with like the humans having apes on their side, that was wild. I was not expecting that at all. And then, oh my god, it was just a really cool battle sequence. But then, of course, like Caesar walking through the trenches. Come on, all that shit was awesome. But I mean, and it's probably the most war-like the movie really gets, and that's not a criticism. It really delivered in that moment. I don't think there's anything else really like in the movie, but I don't know. Did the opening scene stand out to you guys at all? I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, the opening battle and also like the invasion on Caesar, killing his family and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
I
sure.
think like the first third of this film is really like great setup, I think. And like the battle scene at the start looks really amazing. And like that moment where that one ape goes to find the others and it's just like mist and then all the apes come out, that's something that really sticks
Yeah,
with
yeah.
me. So I think that there are like awesome moments like that. I think it's like a tense battle as well. So yeah, it's one of my favorite like scenes in the trilogy, I reckon. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that definitely. It has such scale. It was terrific. I sort of, again, not a criticism, but it would sort of makes me wish like the whole movie was sort of like that in a way, or if that were like a different take on the movie. I don't know. I thought that was cool, but I assume you loved it, Jade.
Yeah, top notch. Like definitely, like it's probably the strongest opening they could have gone with. Like
Yeah.
I think it really is phenomenal. At the end of the Dawn review, you said that you were really keen for war, and I told you this. It's not the war that you expect, and do you get what I mean by that? Like so, like this
Yes,
opening scene is kind of the most of what you would have expected, I guess, and then it kind of transitions
absolutely.
away from that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And thinking about like just on a surface level that conversation, I do like where the movie goes. Because it delivers. It gives me what I thought I wanted. You know, in that opening scene, and it's terrific. And then it transitions into like this entire, with the apes becoming slaves. Like that sort of then becomes the rest of the movie, and it doesn't really feel like a war anymore at all. But then but of course the war is then between the two human factions, which is it's interesting. But I like that just because I didn't really expect it. To your
but
point, like
it's
I think.
Caesar's war more is what I was referring to, of like his own inner war of like
Oh, sure, yeah,
yeah,
okay,
like that's the primary thing that I kind of
that makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't even think of it that way, but that's true. And that stuff was pretty good too. I enjoyed that stuff in the movie as well. But just I was engaged and surprised by, I couldn't really predict where this movie was going until obviously, we get firmly into the Woody Harrelson camp. It's like, all right, we're going to bust out of here. That's fine. But getting there was surprising. I didn't expect Caesar to turn up there and have all the other apes already be there. That was all pretty cool stuff. But then, so Fitzy referenced the scene when old mate Woody Harrelson kills Caesar's family. Again, do I really care? You know, Not really, because I didn't really like the mum sort of just turned up in the last one, so I was like, all right, whatever. But I was really confused about this, to be honest. Who did Woody Harrelson think he killed?
he
Because
thought he
doesn't
killed
he?
Caesar
But how did he not? How did he? Why do you think that? You
because
know,
he was in the big room, like the king room.
he was in like the main. Yeah, yeah, right. Because he made it into the heart of the base, so he's
Yeah.
like just killed every ape in there and assumed he'd killed Caesar.
Mm.
I was kind of, I don't know.
Hmm.
I was just confused by that because I believe the only reason I bring it up is because I believe over like the radio com, he's like King Kong is dead or King Kong is down or whatever,
Mm.
and he's like, but no, he's not. Like, did you even confirm that? Like, can you just go and like look at the bodies or something? That
But
was
they
sort of
don't know
weird.
what Caesar looks like either. And I mean, like by that stage, like Blue Eyes is grown enough to be like a rough idea of what Caesar could look like, and it's like,
Sure.
Well, they do know. Well, some people do know what he looks like because of the attack at the start, but like, I think that scene is believable enough. Woody Harrelson himself doesn't know, but the other soldiers know what he looks like.
Yeah. Okay.
They went back
Okay.
to him though.
yeah.
So.
They ended up back there.
But
Yeah.
I don't think that scene is unbelievable or anything. You have the kid and the wife, so I think it's easily mistakable.
Mm.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. It confused me in the moment because I was just sort of like, if you're leading this military operation that your faction depends on, wouldn't you just make sure? But you raise a good point. That's fair enough. It answered my question. So yeah, I don't know. So that was a great. I mean, the synopsis references it. That was a really cool. As Jane mentioned, the war within Caesar. Right. I didn't expect this to be like a revenge quest sort of film. So that was cool. And now he just wants to kill the colonel. Pretty straightforward. I respect that. I like the journey that Caesar goes on. He sort of learns that the whole all the Koba flashbacks are really cool. Is what I'm driving at, because I didn't expect Koba to have really any significance in this film at all, and I appreciate they really take every opportunity and full advantage of what that character represented in the previous film to give Caesar something to wrestle with here, especially when like every single time he acknowledges that he's like Koba, but every single time he goes down that path, it never turns out good for him. And I think that's really cool. Like, obviously, him choosing to leave the rest of his pack and go after the colonel by himself or with his like, I don't know, his squad of the other dudes, Luca and Morris, my guy. That squad, when he chooses to do that, that obviously ends up being a catastrophic mistake, because then the entire rest of his clan gets captured as a result of that. And then towards the end of the movie, when he still wants to go after him, I'm like, dude, come on, man. Don't do this, Caesar, But he acknowledges that, and I think that's all the character stuff with Caesar in the movie, I think, is really solid. They gave him an arc, that I was invested in. So yeah, but Jaden, I think you were spot on about that being a core component of the movie, so I assume you were into it too.
Yeah, I just love how like everything that Caesar stood for kind of just vanishes at one point before he kind of reclaims it, and like it's like you said, I think it's really well presented. I think it's clear what they were going for. I think when they come across that first human and little girl, like when he just kills the guy off the bat, like it's really shocking because like he definitely would never have done that in the past. And like I think that one's really effective because then like you see the immediate consequence as well of like that little girl is now alone, and then he has to deal with that and stuff. Yeah,
He has to bring her along now.
yeah. But like you just additionally to that, like the just what the little girl is and like her sickness and like whatever that is, it's brilliant in that like because in the original Planet of the Apes, the planet of the apes is where the apes are higher functioning intelligent beings and the humans just can't talk. So this is a really cool way of showing how it possibly could have got to that point, and like I really love that about the movie.
I didn't realize that in the original Planet of the Apes, like, humans can't talk.
And like that's why like when like the first part of the dialogue is like not the first part, but like when is like Charlie Heston's character saying you get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape. That's the first time all the apes have heard a human speak as well, so it's significant for them as well as the audience. And like so that's been a really core part of the franchise of that kind of human muteness, and to show how it's kind of going to rise like that.
That's really clever. I didn't realize that at all. But digging into, so I didn't even understand that at all about the Planet of the Apes lore. But the whole virus mutating and making people not be able to speak, that's a whole great example of me really liking the ideas that the film's trying to present, and of course, like, at the heart of this series is, the difference between, apes and humans, and what makes us human and what makes them human, or, all those questions, right? And I think it was really cool, like the extended scenes we get. I think Woody Harrelson's used pretty sparingly. He only really has 2 memorable scenes in the movie, maybe 3. But when he is used, I found his dialogue quite effective. and everything with him, like when he kills the infected humans to save humanity, and kills anyone who disagrees with that, right? Because he's like, oh, if if we lose our speech and our intelligence, we lose what makes us human. So these people aren't worth having around. He thinks life isn't worth living for those people when those traits are lost. It's this really interesting philosophy, not too dissimilar to something like, the Nazis or whatever, or any of those sort of philosophies that is really interesting. But it's this bizarre thing where it's just horrid. Like, it's the most insane, idea that, you just execute these people for losing speech, for having the virus the way they do. But it's this interesting thing that I thought worked in the movie where when you put that in the context and this cult in the context of the apocalypse and saving the human species, it sort of shifts the perspective, to make something horrible become easier to justify. Because I sort of like, I get where he's coming from, is my point. Where it's like, dude, this is like a terrible philosophy, but there is very little humans left, and if you sort of allow this to spread, like, humanity won't exist in any form in the future. And if that's something he values, which he does obviously, because he had to kill his son, which was like not fun. Then that's I like that idea, and then the way, of course, that Caesar then plays off of that. Yeah, I don't know, all those ideas. But did you like that scene? That stuff fits you? Because there was that pretty extensive scene where Woody Harrelson sort of just spills his guts out about this stuff.
Yeah, I do like that scene. Woody Harrelson's film is kind of like the inspiration is definitely from Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. It's the character Marlon Brando plays. He kind of appears at the end, and he's this leader of um, this small like Asian like faction, and he's like his motto is like exterminate the brutes, and he's like so yeah, I think he was pretty good in those scenes. Is one thing I'm like wondering is because he says that the other people, the other army or whatever, the I guess the main army or whatever, they think they can solve this problem with medicine or whatever. So like, is that true? That because the thing is, if it's not true, then Woody Harrelson is justified almost. But if it is true that they can fix this issue, then he's just got this cult that doesn't really need to be there, I guess.
It's
So I
left
don't know.
ambiguous, but I think that's very intentional in that, playing this grey. It's like what we said in the past, how the oh no, sorry, yeah, but like I think the series does a good job of balancing like this grey area in like most characters. I think that's what it's showing here again.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Nevertheless, I think like I don't know, his one speech scene is definitely memorable. I mean, other than that, him walking around the camps, he's just like strict guy, not too
Yeah,
interesting.
sure.
But the scenes where he's actually the main focus of like that and his the scene where he actually has the virus is really great.
Yeah, exactly. That scene was cool. I like how that all played out for Caesar, because Caesar couldn't bring himself to, once he got in there, obviously with the intention of killing the colonel, like he wanted to the whole movie. Caesar couldn't do it now that he sees the colonel as more like an ape, or like in terms of that. And this makes Woody Harrelson. It's exactly what Woody Harrelson was talking about. Like, he can't, when you take away the traits of what makes a human, the speech and all that, he can't bear to live like that, so he kills himself. Whereas Caesar obviously can't bring himself to it. The roles reverse, right? Which is as a result of that, which I find really strong. And I think that's really interesting. And that speaks to exactly, all it does is just highlight exactly the different character philosophies and where they each come from, And I'm glad, obviously, it makes perfect sense knowing Caesar, but I'm glad that he didn't kill him, because, revenge is bad and shit, But it makes all the sense in the world, yeah. This movie what was it, a 3-year time jump after Dawn?
Caesar looks a
I'm not
lot
sure.
older, I think. I don't know.
How
He
long do apes
absolutely
live?
does. That's another
I don't
great
know.
question, Jay. That's a great question. But Fitzy brought up exactly why I was asking, because Caesar looks a lot older. And seeing the evolution of this character throughout the trilogy is one of the most satisfying things in watching the trilogy. Because, I guess just obligatory Andy Serkis is great, Caesar is great, speech I'll just insert right here, because he's terrific. But yeah, he looks a lot older. You can actually, I don't know if you guys felt this, but I felt like looking in the detail of the CG and stuff, I feel like I could actually make out like Andy Serkis's face in Caesar more than I ever could before. Like in his facial structure, which was cool. And of course, one of the main things was that Caesar's speech has evolved significantly, even since Dawn. And that's also been a really satisfying thing. Where now, like, Caesar's basically just speaking almost um, just as well as humans, which is crazy. And he sounds a lot more. I think if you go back and listen to Rise, like, there's a lot less speech modification going on. Like, it's sort of just a lot more of Andy Serkis speaking, which makes a lot of sense. But it just helps me even more buy into me being on this journey with him. I care about Caesar.
I think he talks a tad bit too much in this one, tad bit too much.
Sure.
In the last one we saw like it's used really effectively every time he speaks. It's a spectacle, and you hang off it in Dawn. And like in this one, I understand, and I still like the fact that it's evolved. But had it like when he's especially like when it's only with the apes, had it when he's only with the apes, had it been a few more sign language or gruntish. I think it's just a little thing.
I do disagree just because we're at the end here and it's like they, as the trivia said, they want to really showcase that he's basically just a person now. But I totally take your point in that was one of the great things about Dawn is that every single time an ape speaks, like I think I said in that review, every single time an ape speaks, it's sort of never lost on you and how crazy that is. Whereas in this movie, it is lost on you. It's sort of like you sort of you begin to take it for granted, whereas you never did before. I agree with that.
I guess then we then talk about Steve Zahn's character, of Bad Ape.
Oh, Bad Ape. Yeah. Sure, we can do that. Hang on. Let me get into it with trivia. I'll do it right this time. While promoting Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Andy Serkis was asked if the drug that had affected apes, if the drug, that what is it? They killed humans and makes apes intelligent. If it would have affected apes outside of Caesar's tribe, Matt Reeves took note of it, which led to the introduction of Bad Ape in this movie. So good for whatever journalist asked Andy Serkis that question. You just impacted this movie. Good for you.
It's in the because I was watching like the behind the scenes of the thing, and like they don't acknowledge the journalists, but they just say it's something that they thought if the virus can spread to humans, there should be this kind of backspread to other apes and stuff.
That makes tons of sense. I liked Bad Ape. I thought he was cool. I think he was, for me, just I can see sort of finding him a bit annoying, but like he was just the right amount of comedy relief for me. Like just like it was almost too much, but it wasn't. So I'm glad about that. Did you guys find him funny? I like the moment when Morris gets mad at him and he shits himself. That was fun. When he's like standing on his back.
Mm.
That was good.
I recognized the voice, but I couldn't figure out who the hell it was. And it's the it's the dad from Diver Wimpy Kid. And I was like, oh, that's who it is. Yeah.
That's so random that you recognize that.
Well, I couldn't I didn't know who it was, but he's got a unique voice. I think
Yeah.
He's got like like nasally or whatever. Yeah.
I think he wasn't too much because he was more eccentric than he was comedic. It's like he did provide that kind of comedic relief, but it wasn't entirely. It was because he was that bit weird, not because he was
cracking
funny.
jokes. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's why it works.
That's a great point. I totally agree with that. And dude, Morris is still here. He's my guy. I love Morris. He's like my favorite character.
Do you want to say his name
100%.
correctly then?
Maurice.
Maurice.
I
meant to say Maurice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Caesar says Morris, but I don't know. I'm don't trust me on that. I'm probably wrong. Maurice is great. I want to go back and listen to how I said it in the last review. I probably got it right then in my brain. But dude, he's awesome. There's that one shot of him when he meets the the little girl for the first time. Their relationship is great. He's such a what a beautiful man, what a beautiful ape. He's such a good dude. But there's that shot where it's like I mean, the CG is impressive, obviously, in this entire thing, but like it was dumb. It was dumb how good it looks. Like it was photorealistic.
You know, a
So
woman plays Maurice, right?
who?
A woman plays Maurice.
Oh yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Did we? I know.
Yeah. She did a great job. He's awesome.
It's because you said beautiful man. I was like, yeah.
But he's a dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Maurice is a dude, but yeah.
I think so. Yeah, no, I love him. I love him so much.
Also on the behind the scenes, I'll just keep flexing behind the scenes.
Please do.
The actress for Maurice, I can't remember her name, but she was talking about like her relationship with the little girl whose name also escapes me. I think it's Amelia. Which because they have like a really great off-screen chemistry as well, and like it translated really well to on-screen and shit like that, and like they were just talking about that, so it was
That's cool. The scene where they meet's really nice. But talking about her, like it was cool that she became part of the crew, that we met her. That was a cool idea. It gave me Last of Us vibes, obviously. But it was cool. Like it never quite worked out the way I thought it would. Like I thought it was going to be like Caesar and her, and then it'd be like Caesar is Joel, and that's cool. But it never really worked out that way because she's always just a part of the team. There's like 5 of them there at all times. But like I understand the thematic significance of her being, the first introduction of what we talked about with the virus earlier and that, but she sort of felt underutilized to me in the end, I think. Like she has that interesting scene where, she goes and feeds all the apes, and that's sort of a nice moment, I guess. But that's sort of, I don't know, in retrospect, I felt like that scene sort of just existed for her to give the doll to Caesar so Woody Harrelson could get infected. Like it didn't really, I don't know, there wasn't a lot for me to grab onto emotionally with her. I didn't end up caring as much as I thought I wanted to, or as much as I thought I would, I guess.
Bro, this strict military cult is the most lax thing. She just walks in.
Yeah.
Just walks in, gives them the doll.
100%. Yeah. And she was standing there for like 3 minutes too. It was a pretty extensive scene.
Yeah.
It was.
Just want to talk more about little Easter eggs to the previous to the older ones, in that the name that they give the little girl Nova is a reference to a character in the original one, so there's that connection as well. But then also the whole like cult being like kind of doomsday-ish, like the beginning and the end, the Alpha and Omega. That's something they borrowed from the second Planet of the Apes film, from Beneath the Planet of the Apes, where they have kind of this interesting thing going on there. So that's it's really nice seeing these kind of constant callbacks, and then even in like the music and then like the motifs of like they use like these like metal mixing bowls to like kind of get like that kind of jungle-ish feel, and like that's something that's being used throughout all the movies. So just seeing it continued, they have a real respect for the originals, and like in the behind the scenes again, Matt Reeves and like the and the composer, Michael
Giacchino?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
They both talk about how they were like massive fans, and like how they had this huge respect for the franchise. So like, I think they really got like the best people they could to work on this, to develop it forward and then still respect it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you saying that just makes me feel bad that I still don't like the score very much,
Oh, you didn't like this one?
No,
I thought
not
this
really.
one was. I understand Dawn being a bit like kind of, but like I think this one's amazing. I really think this one's amazing.
Yeah. It has its moments. Like we haven't even mentioned the donkey character yet. Like the dude who's the ape who's on the other side, on Woody Harrelson's side. I loved him in the movie. His final moment was awesome. But that moment there where we get the climax of his journey there at the end, that was a really strong moment for the score, I think. But outside of that, I don't know. I'm glad that, they clearly put so much thought into it, and you said that about them honoring the originals and stuff, because that makes it harder for me to like criticize objectively or whatever. So at the end of the day, I think it's just a subjective thing. I don't know. I just felt like a lot of the time, especially when they're like the apes are scheming and stuff, it's sort of goofy music, like it's sort of like it's a bit too. It's not the tone I would have gone for, is basically all it comes down to.
Yeah, sorry, composer Finn.
It just came across as it was a bit too light,
Yeah,
for
that's fair.
for the situation I felt like they were in. But if they're honoring previous films, that's way more important than like pleasing me who knows nothing about these movies. So, and yeah, oh yeah, Fitzy, did you like Donkey? Did you like his
Donkey.
his?
Donkey.
I should have seen that coming.
It's weird that he was like a follower of Caesar. I know, a follower of Cobra, and Cobra's thing was like that he hates humans. You know, he joins the human side. But I mean, he
Sure.
was.
But
So
at
there's
the
that.
start, they talk about how like they joined him out of fear of Caesar more than out of their respect of Cobra or
Yeah,
whatever. So.
yeah, that is true. But I
But I get
mean,
what you mean. Though it's still like you still have to sort of buy it. Like
yeah,
it is
it's fine.
so
It's fine. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a weird thing seeing him do. Was he the only one apart from?
There's Winter as well, but then like we also see a few chimps.
Yeah, I think in the opening scene there's like multiple chimps hanging around there,
I
I believe.
I completely forgot that they had like there was this like kind of turncoat donkey character, like the turncoat ape characters. So like when he first pops up and he like taps him on the shoulder, I thought that was meant to be funny and like and like the humans not meant to realize it's an ape or whatever. Because like I
100%,
completely forgot about that,
100%.
and then he points to the other one, and like the human's just like, oh yeah, that's and I was like, all right, sorry, yeah,
Totally. There was a solid 2 seconds where I thought, wow, we're doing a goofy stealth scene where he's like, and then he takes
yeah.
it out. Yeah, that wasn't it at all. But no, like I did not expect it at all. I would never have even thought of this idea to have like turncoat apes working for humans. So I thought that was an awesome thing. But then, I mean, it's pretty simple stuff to be honest. Like Donkey, getting berated for what he's done and then eventually saving Caesar. But I thought it
Yeah,
was
his final scene
satisfying.
is really effective.
Yeah, and seeing him get blasted was pretty effective, honestly. It was like, oh, poor guy. But he finally was true to himself, that's what it's all about. So I respect him for that for sure. Before we talk about the ending, I want to talk about the film's absolutely stunning. And we talked about Dawn being stunning, but this is sort of on another level from like an establishing shot perspective. Like some of the especially in the first half. Like, I mean, all the snow looks gorgeous too, but dude, like the amount of shots we get of like them riding on the beach with their horses and all the larger shots of the surrounding areas that they're in. Oh my god, it was it was stunning.
I think if we're talking about hair shots again, I think that shot of the three humans that have been shot and like covered in snow and like the red blood's like kind of seeping through it, and like it's that kind of
Yeah,
it's so effective and so brilliant. It's like just stark and stunning. It just sears into your eyes and just
absolutely. And the film is so well lit. Like all the interior, the scene where uh, Woody Harrelson's squad breaks in to kill Caesar's family was so well lit, so well done. But Fitzy, I don't know. I feel like we were sort of on the same page at the start here, being slightly more negative than Jane. Was there an aspect of the film that you disliked most? I just want to sort of explore that.
I mean, no, I should say, I really enjoyed the film. But like I was saying that it's not as good as Dawn for me. Dawn just has like the conflict with Cobra, and like I think the camera work is like better in Dawn, even though this movie looks better. Um, Once we get to the, I don't know, the enslavement parts, it's kind of long-ish, and it's those scenes of like, victory, like rebellion kind of thing, which are kind of like that you expect. But like those moments, like Caesar rising up against the tyrants or whatever, it's kind of traditional heroic movie moments that you expect, that are kind of not too subtle or amazing for me at least. But like the whole journey of this movie is really great. So, and I prefer it to Rise, I think. So I do enjoy this movie.
Are you prefer
Yes.
to Rise and Dawn or Rise?
he says it's in the middle of them.
Yes.
Got it. Understood. Yeah, yeah, cool. That scene where Caesar, I appreciate them like trying to go for a hat trick, where when Caesar yells "Leave him," in that scene.
No, yeah.
That was. I mean, it wasn't any no, but it was pretty good. It was
Uh,
pretty good.
I love the way when Woody Harrelson pulls the gun on Caesar and puts it to his head. He says like presses up a little bit. Like it's such a subtle movement into the barrel of the gun, but it's like so much power and weight into it, and like defiance and just getting up there. And it's just.
I want to know how you guys felt about the ending. If you found it satisfying. I guess I'll lay out my perspective. I'm happy for the apes. I'm happy they got their planet. Caesar's death was kind of awkward in my opinion. He had that wound for months, presumably. It felt like they
No,
were
he
going
got shot
to.
again at the. Oh, do you mean because sorry, you think they've been traveling for months?
Well, they would have been, right?
I don't know. Could be.
Or weeks, or you know what I mean? And it just felt like, I don't know. I still cared. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was a trash ending. I don't think it was terrible by any means, but I just feel like it could have been stronger. Especially when like the moment where it's like, all right, he gives you speech and he like falls over to the side dramatically. It's like, all right, I don't know if this really landed in the way I wanted it to, especially when like just moments before, like we have like the avalanche, which like conveniently kills all the humans. This was the part of the film, and it's unfortunate when the ending doesn't quite stick. For me, because it's sort of what the film obviously leaves you with. But I don't know, it felt like the most of this franchise that has surprised me in so many respects. It felt like the most conventional route, I guess, which was slightly underwhelming to me. But I don't know. How do you feel about it, Fitzy?
That's a good point. Yeah, he probably had that. He probably had that wound for a while. But I like the last shot and like the place that they go to. It's very nice looking, very like peaceful and stuff. What do they eat though? Like do they eat from trees or what do apes eat? I don't know.
It's a great question. I don't know. Do they get like takeout? Yeah. Oh, I said takeout like an American. God damn it. I'm sorry. That's a great question. And to be clear, like obviously you can get a wound and like bleed out in weeks. I'm not saying that, but it was just the fact that he had the wound for so long, and he conveniently dies like right when he's like giving his final speech. You know what I mean? Because it felt like a minute before he was like, okay.
Well, maybe it was
and
like
Maurice didn't know about the wound.
maybe it was like internal bleeding or something. Isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like you
Yeah.
couldn't see the outside effects as much.
But it's also like that, like how mothers would lift a car to save the baby underneath. Maybe it's like he has to put on this strong front and last that bit longer for the tribe just to know they're safe, and he knows the tribes are safe, and he can relax and
Sure.
that relaxing of the just.
That makes sense from a character perspective. I just think there's something underwhelming about like as the audience when we learn that shit, Caesar's hurt, like, and then 30 seconds later he's dead. Like it just doesn't really. It lacks emotion for me.
Well,
it's not
we
like
don't learn it there though. I mean, like we learn it when he gets shot at the camp.
No, for sure, but we forget, and it's meant to remind us. It's like, remember I'm hurt, and like that where has that moment where he shows Maurice. You know what I mean? I'd certainly forgotten. I don't know, maybe. I feel like that's what that's meant to be.
I have
like,
a better attention
remember?
span, so I mean, like, just
good for you. Yeah, but it wasn't. Oh, I totally agree with Fitzy that it was cool seeing the desert because it is such a stark contrast in environment to any sort of place we've seen in this trilogy so far. So that was effective, but I don't know. How'd you feel about Jane? You liked it?
Yeah, I liked the avalanche. I thought it was cool. I don't like what it did because it was too convenient. But like the avalanche itself is really cool. I mean, I think.
Yeah, it was cool how they all climbed up. It's like, yeah, we're apes. We're fine. We can climb.
Yeah, I understand how it feels convenient, and it is convenient, but it has to be, Actually, no. Had Caesar died after the avalanche, I think it probably would have been a better ending.
Yeah.
Like had he survived the avalanche and then just had a peaceful death in the snow, and then like have Maurice as the leader, like that.
Yeah, something like that would work. Even like, I think it could have been even more impactful if maybe have the avalanche maybe done. I don't know how that would fit into this, but like have Caesar die at some point towards the end there of the whole climactic snow sequence at the base, and then have that really be an impactful, surprising sort of moment, and then have the same desert scene with the rest of the apes and Maurice as they're chilling, and I'm like, dude, it's Maurice, I'm hype, I'm excited, but then that sort of has its own emotion where it's like they made it without him, but Caesar gave them so much, and now they're here and they did it, but he sacrificed himself back there to be able to get them here. You know what I mean? I feel like there could have been something with that.
I
But
think it could have even been interesting had Caesar died in the avalanche with the humans as like a kind of
yeah,
last connection that he is more human than he is ape. But like
sure.
instead of having him running away, you'd have him face it and embrace it, kind of. I
Yeah,
think that could have been interesting. It would have been a bit. I think a lot of the audience would have been disappointed. I know I would have been disappointed had it been like that, and had I not thought of it. But
we're like writing a whole script here, aren't we?
yeah,
let's do it.
He saves the girl, but he dies. So it's like
fucking tosses her in the
air.
Yeah. Just launches her up the tree. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I like all these ideas we're playing around with. I think just at the end of the day, for me, thinking about the ending we got, that final desert shot, I like it. I think it would have been better if Caesar had already died before that.
Let's start a petition and get them to remake the show, remake the movie.
Yeah, like remake the last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
Remake a good movie, please. Remake a good movie.
Just want to also state that like desert sequence, like that desert location, is more similar to the terrain we get in the original Planet of the Apes as well.
Oh, okay, okay. I know to Matt Reeves' credit and to the filmmaker's credit here, like I know that he like the synopsis kind of calls it a mythic quest, but I know Matt Reeves sort of did. I read in the trivia sort of compare Caesar's journey in this movie to being like a Moses sort of figure, where he sort of leads the apes, to the promised land or whatever. And to his credit, like we talked about the ending and how we feel about it, but to his credit, I feel like they did achieve the scale of that journey. I felt like we went on an extensive, like a cross-land journey to get to the desert at the end, and I feel like that's an important thing to instill in the audience, and I think they did that.
Just want to quickly also mention my boy Luca carking it.
Oh, of course.
Before that, like we get that scene of that shot of him taking the flower and putting it in the girl's hair, and like it's such a like obvious like pet the dog moment of like oh no, he's gonna
he's done.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our final verdicts, Jaden. Out of 10, concluding the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Big 9 from
Big 9.
Big 9. I do think it's a better film than Dawn, but just slightly, like in like the slightest of hairs. And like it's like I said, it's it's kind of pitfalls and its rises come from different aspects. So yeah, but yeah, it's pretty equivalent, but just slightly better for me personally. So 9 out of 10, and I place it at the top of the stack with Dawn close second and Rise in third.
That's cool. I feel like that makes us all have a different ranking. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I feel like in retrospect, I wish I could like, hey, listeners, everyone listening, please go back and like retroactively like sort of change what I said at the start. I feel like at the start in my opening thing, I came across a bit like too focusing on my nitpicky stuff than I wanted to, because I do like the movie 100%. I'm with Fitzy. I want to emphasize I enjoyed it a lot. Just the little things here and there where I'm like, I don't know, falling flat in little areas, but it's an enjoyable film for sure. Maybe a little long. It's not like egregious by any means. So no, I enjoyed it. I'll give it a 7. And I think, I don't know, I said I'd put it last. I might put it, I don't know. It's pretty on par with Rise for me, actually. Like I might put it right there with it. I don't know if I can choose. Equals second, yeah. Dawn is definitely my favourite, though. I can definitely assert that. So yeah, we did that. We did that trilogy. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Thanks to Andy, who's been watching along.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Yeah, absolutely.
Movies, yeah.
Much appreciated. I don't like that you guys didn't pat yourself on the back. What's up with that?
That's cringe.
It is cringe. Anyway, so the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer came out. Did we all watch it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad about that. I didn't think I was going to watch it, but then of course I did. So, because how could I not? It was a very cool trailer. How'd you feel about it, Jada?
I think it did the wrong thing. Like it didn't work for me entirely. I think it looks like a complicated mess. When I was thinking about this movie, I was imagining it. I don't know how in my mind it would have worked, but like what this trailer shows us, it looks like it's just going to be complicated and long, but not long. But it looks like it's going to be too complicated for its own good, and it looks like it's going to be a big roster of characters, and it looks like it's going to be trying to do too many things at once. It's going to juggle 5 balls and drop 4 of them. I think yeah, is it the same guy? Is it that Watts guy directing John Adam Watts?
John Watts, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it was like someone like the Russo brothers, I'd be more on board because we've seen them handle big rosters of characters before. But because we've only ever seen this guy do pretty individual small stories. So if this does end up being a massive, multiversal thing with massive repercussions and 3 Spider-Mans and 48 villains, I'm worried it's going to be a bit too much.
Yeah, I feel that. I didn't get that from this trailer, but I think that's a good point, and I think there's valid reason to be skeptical in that vein because, I said the same thing before Infinity War. I was like, I don't know if we can. I don't know how exciting this movie can be with like 80 characters, but
yeah, but that's what I'm saying about the Russo. Yeah, because
100%. So I set that up like I was going to disagree with it. I'm totally agreeing with you. Where it's I'm like, I get the skepticism. Now we just got to see if John Watts can bring it also. What do you think, Fitzy?
No, the trailer's really good. I think Doc Ock's CGI at the end looked really bad. But other than that, it looks like a fun time. I like the first 2 Spider-Man movies, so yeah, I don't know. Should be good.
You think Alfred Molina looked bad?
Dude, he was CGI'd to hell. It looked so bad.
I think he looked fine. I thought he looked okay, to be honest. There's definitely... I think there's probably definitely some de-aging stuff going on. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys... the thing that surprised me most, and do you mind if we do minor spoilers for Loki, Fitzy?
Sure. I'm not going to watch it. It's all good.
Oh, okay. The thing that surprised me most is the premise of the film. This trailer very much, which by the way, it's a teaser trailer that's 2.5 minutes long. I love that. We've completely lost the definition of what a teaser is, but it completely spells out the premise, which I think is good. I think the film, as Jan mentioned, there's going to be a lot going on, so I think it's cool we sort of know it already. But it did surprise me. I didn't expect it to be a situation where Peter wants to sort of goes to Doctor Strange to make everyone forget who he is. After, and I actually forgot that was the end of Far From Home. To be honest, I sort of forgot that happened, which is it's a cool idea to play with. To be honest, I think that's neat. But the end of Loki sort of indicated to me, at least, that the events of that show had messed up the multiverse and the MCU permanently, in quotes, right? Like it had those events had caused the multiverse to do its thing. So it was weird to me in this trailer that we see Peter goes to Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange does the thing for this to happen, for all this multiverse Spider-Man shit to happen. It's like, but wasn't that what Loki did? Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It just confused me a little bit because I thought that was like the whole big deal about the end of Loki was like, oh shit, now the multiverse is in play. But it's like, but so Doctor Strange did that? Not
when would this occur? Because wouldn't this like be immediately following Far From Home? When's Loki take place?
Well, Loki takes place in infinite space time. So it takes place everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. It's probably just a dumb question that once we watch the movie, it'll make sense. But it was sort of strange to me. I thought for sure that wasn't going to be the case, but I don't know. I'm interested. And of course, how do we feel about the tease of Willem Dafoe is totally going to be in this movie? That's pretty exciting.
I'm excited. Yeah, it's good.
So he's little, unless it's James Franco.
Oh, that'd be even better.
It'd be better if it was Dane DeHaan.
Oh my god. No, I don't think Disney's going to touch James Franco with a 10-foot pole at the moment, to be honest. So I think it's definitely Willem Dafoe. But either way, that's neat. So yeah, I'm excited to see Tobey Maguire be Spider-Man again in this movie. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun.
So that's confirmed, right?
It's not confirmed, no. It is heavily rumoured and very obvious.
How are you going to bring the villains back, but then not the Spider-Mans, It's like...
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I tell you, it's one of those things where, like, the rumours for Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe all sort of coming out at the same time. Alfred Molina got confirmed, obviously. He's in the trailer. So it's like, what, you're telling me that he's real and the others aren't?
It's like with the Mandalorian, like, news about, like, this character and that character.
Absolutely. It's exactly the same. It all ended up being real. All right, well, let's get into a live-action Cowboy Bebop. Is this a Netflix show?
Yes.
There's images for this show. I don't know anything about this, haven't seen any of them, so you guys take it away. What's going on?
That's just one image, isn't it?
Nah, it's like a series of like 6 or
Oh,
7.
okay. I don't have many thoughts. One thing I heard someone say was none of them are smoking in these images. And like, if they're not smoking and there's not like jazz playing in the background, then it's not really Cowboy Bebop. So
Well,
hopefully I get to see
Netflix
them
made a
smoke.
big effort of like no longer showing smoking in their shows unless it's like historical or absolutely necessary. So there
Oh,
probably won't be much smoking.
So cool. Does this do anything for you? Are you excited? Does this hype you up, or is it just like, all right?
no, I'm pretty neutral on it. We'll see.
Okay, okay.
But yeah.
It's not a Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg image situation.
Oh no, it's not that hard. No.
All right, quick update on The Matrix 4 is that
Oh
the
yeah.
title has finally been confirmed as The Matrix Resurrections, which is hilarious.
We
And
definitely would have guessed that, right?
we did. It was definitely
Okay.
one of the 2 or 3
Okay.
we threw out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go back and find that in like episode 17 or some shit. But so yeah, and the for me the most interesting thing, because we sort of already knew that, but they are sticking by the December 22nd, release date for this movie, which is nuts. We still haven't
This
seen
year.
anything about it. We still have not seen anything about it other than the title.
Oh wow.
It's complete. It's shot, but I was sort of the mind that it was for sure going to be delayed because we just hadn't heard anything about it. But they reaffirmed the date, so I guess we'll be doing another Matrix review pretty soon. All right, let's get into our highlights of the week. Jaden, what have you been watching?
Nothing.
Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I watched Alone. Movie called Alone. It's about a serial killer stalking, trying to kill a widow who's going on a car trip. It's very abstract. You have to watch Rick and Morty season 4 to understand. To be able to understand this kind of thing. That's pretty good. Basic like thriller, I guess. They kind of get stuck in the woods and then they're chasing each other in the woods and that kind of thing. So I don't know, not much to say about it. It's pretty good. Came out last year.
Very cool. Rick and what was it? Rick and Morty season 4?
Oh, so you have to have a high intellect to understand this kind of thing.
Got it.
Serial
Got it.
killer chasing a woman. So like, if you don't play 5D chess,
All right, very good. I watched a film called Manchester by the Sea I had not seen before. And I mean, I'll just keep it brief, there's no reason for me to go on and on about it, but it's a great movie. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it because it's really entertaining and engaging the entire way. And it's really strong performances, really simple film, really at the end of the day, just hanging out in this town with these characters and their interactions, and it's really great. And it's really heartfelt and it's pretty sad as well. And it's funny, it's the complete package, man. It's a great movie. I feel like there's very few people that wouldn't like it. So it's an all round banger. Just check it out if you haven't. Casey Affleck was great too. I think it's probably the best performance of his I've ever seen. All right. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what are some of your favourite iconic character designs of all time? Luke said, and Luke just basically says all mine. I think he just was deliberately trying to steal mine, but some of my favourite character designs, Darth Vader's suit and mask are iconic. When you see him standing in the hallway and the red lightsaber ignites, you know what's about to go down. I really like the character designs for Marty and Doc in the second Back to the Future, although perhaps the most iconic thing about those designs was the pink hoverboard accessory. The designs for the Incredibles family suits are also iconic. They're simple, but nonetheless great. The Incredibles is a great shout. I mean, the others, Darth Vader for sure, of course, but Incredibles is a great shout. Love that. Jai said, James Bond in a turtleneck. It's stealth and style. That's great. But I haven't. Is Daniel Craig? Daniel Craig's in a turtleneck in Spectre, isn't he? I feel like he is at some point.
He definitely isn't in one of them.
Yeah. I do like that look. Yeah, I think it's when he's in the snow in that movie.
That
So
would
that's
make
cool.
sense.
Indeed. Great point.
It's not while he's in fucking Madrid in the middle of summer, wherever he goes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Mr. Worldwide said Officer Hops from Zootopia. And there may not have been some questionable emojis alongside that comment. So awesome. Thanks, Michael. Aiden just listed a bunch, so I'm going to go through them, and they're pretty great. Aiden said, "Bleeding Edge Iron Man armor and its 2024 variant." I actually don't know what that is. I don't. Is that? Do you guys know what that is? Jane's googling it. I bet it's cool though, because his others are pretty spot on. The late Heath Ledger's Joker, RoboCop, H.R. Giger's original Alien. I felt that was the most botched pronunciation ever. What is that?
Geiger, I think.
Geiger?
Yeah.
Original Alien. What is that?
That's the Xenomorph.
My answer, yes. The Xenomorph.
It's the Xenomorph.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. I like that. We may or may not be learning more about the Xenomorph soon on this show. Deadpool, the Bride, Rachel from Blade Runner, Darth Vader, and Darth Maul. Shout out to Darth Maul. Darth Maul's better than Darth Vader. I'm just throwing that in there. Design-wise, I mean. And Halle Berry's Catwoman, which may or may not have been crossed out. I want to see that movie. Part of me wants to watch that.
You haven't seen it?
No. God, no.
Oh, it's interesting.
It's interesting.
Andy said, "Far from iconic, but a character design that just stood out to me is Colin Farrell's The Coach and the rest of the toddlers from Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman." What a obscure shout. I like that. Simply, it's just them wearing a plaid tracksuit and a long sleeve polo, along with sneakers varying from different sporting brands such as Nike or Adidas or Adidas, however you want to say it. To most people, they're just ordinary trackies, but for me, I find it rather classy and sophisticated. Sure.
I had a look. They're like 400 pounds to get like those trackies.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a trackie enthusiast, I might have to. That intrigues me. Also seeing Guy Ritchie adding characters wearing those types of clothes in a motion picture film is just extraordinary. However, it's not just about simply putting these high-end tracksuits on. I mean, it sort of is, to be honest, but it's also mostly about the personality behind those trackies, and I believe Colin Farrell in that movie wore it the best alongside his goons. With this sort of question, people would normally come up with the superheroes or villains, but I prefer to think about a certain group of people, culture, or stereotypes. In reality, I should have chosen a superhero or supervillain just to fit along with everybody else and shut the F up with the subtle details about random things I usually babble on about week to week. we love you, Andy, though. Please don't stop doing it. Unless you make me read like an essay.
There's a word limit.
Keep doing what you're doing.
400 word limit would be.
Yeah, totally. If only YouTube comments had a character limit, I agree. I mean, Luke nailed mine, really. Darth Maul is killer. Shout out to, of course, Ahsoka. Shout out to, just Star Wars. Shout out to Star Wars. Oh, shit, I forgot. I had another one. Oh, no. Fitz, you go, and I'll try and think of it.
Oh, yeah, so Xenomorph from Alien is probably number one. And I think that's the first one that came to mind, at least. And then Scar from The Lion King is definitely there. And then just the creatures designs from The Thing would be up there as well. Those are my favorites.
I kind of created a bit of a list as well, but then some of them have been named, so I've struck them off. The OG apes from Planet of the Apes, pretty great. Bowman in the orange spacesuit from 2001, banging. The Fawn and the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth, top notch. Clint Eastwood in a poncho in the Dollars trilogy.
Fuck, that's good.
Kaneda from Akira, in his red jacket with the pill, classic. Same with Mononoke in Princess Mononoke. The T-800, in the original Terminator.
Ah,
You know,
that's
OG
good.
Arnie in a leather jacket and a
Mm,
shotgun, red
I
eye.
still haven't seen those movies.
Oh, really? Yeah. And lastly, the V for Vendetta. You know, with the Guy Fawkes mask.
The anonymous mask.
That's what it's
Does
been
that?
reappropriated as.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask that. Okay. What's the order of events there? Okay, interesting. All right. As always, we love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comment section, or send us a DM on Instagram. And the specific question we'll be asking you is: this is a great question. What is your favorite movie set in a future that's already passed? For example, the original Blade Runner is set in, is that 2019?
Yeah, yeah.
2019? So there's a few examples out there for you. It's a
Back to
great
the Future
question.
2 in 2015.
Yeah. Yeah,
Although that's
absolutely.
arsehole, so no one should say that. So yeah, I wish we had to ask this question like 7 years down the line, because then I definitely would have had good answers.
We could wait till 2050. Yeah. Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049, we're sitting here as like middle-aged men. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fun, but I don't really have the patience for that personally, so it's up to you. All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
We're doing a Polish film on Netflix that Jaden suggested. It's called Prime Time, and it's about a guy who takes a TV broadcast host hostage. So check it out.
Oh, so it's like that movie Money Monster with George Clooney.
Sure,
What?
I haven't seen that movie, but yeah.
It's the same premise.
No.
It's probably really different. I don't know. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, fam, friends, for joining me. Do you buy me as like cool British dude? What's up, fam? You know.
Fuck.
That was actually good.
Oh, thank you.
No. You got two
That was
very different
good.
responses then.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all next time. Have a great rest of your week and goodbye.